Hi, it's Sue. Thanks for joining me for today's Bible reading. I am reading for March 27th, and I'm reading 1 Samuel 1 through 3. So, this is the beginning of a new book, and we're coming out of the doldrums of Judges. If you've been listening to me, you know what I mean by that. The stories in 1 Samuel, 2 Samuel, they're going to prove to be um, really exciting, at least to me. I know it's full of lots of good things, principles, life principles, governmental principles that we can take and apply to our world and see how God deals with nations and organizations and churches and people and families, right? Individuals, children, even. Um, so I'm excited about that. I suggest again that you look at the link that's in the description under the video. I'm sorry for stumbling over my words. I'm doing this right off the top of my head here. But I put a link in the description for the Bible Project overview of First Samuel. They actually link First Samuel and Second Samuel together because they are actually one book. I think they do two videos separate, but they kind of tell the whole story together. You'll see what I mean when you watch it. Um, One other reason a personal reason that I like this story is because I have a son named Samuel, and of course my children are special to me, like with any mother, but it began, let me just say, through the years, the Lord has given me umpteen words about my children, and it began really with this one where I was newly married, and the Lord just began to put a vision in my heart about being a homemaker and a mother, which I've done all my life now and loved it. It's my favorite job. I've got a little entrepreneurial spirit with me. I've always had a business. I had a business when this incident happened and had one for 20 years and then had another small business with it concurrently for 12 years. Went into another industry where I semi worked for myself as a contractor. I've just always loved the freedom of working for myself. And then still today, I have um, these various little businesses that I run. But all of them really with the ultimate goal of allowing me to stay at home and work from home and be a homemaker. I love to garden, I love to cook, love to being a mom. And so back here in the beginning of this story, I had just gotten married, had a little business, my first small business, and the Lord began to put in my heart a vision of being at home with children. And I was the youngest in the family, never really necessarily had a desire for children. Honestly, hadn't thought about it much. I was just busy being a young adult and not sure why that was. But I got this vision and the Lord began to move. And um, he used a person who gave me several prophetic words. The same person gave me different prophetic words about my children. And long story short, I became pregnant right around that same time. And in fact, I had to go. I was very sick, and I went to the emergency room, and they did all these tests on me, including X-rays. And when they did the X-rays, when I first came in, they asked me while I'm standing there in front of the X-ray, "Are you pregnant?" And I said, "No," like I always did and always had. And I heard a voice inside of me say yes. And I just sort of shrugged it off. I didn't think much of it. So they put me through all kinds of tests, and the very end ended up giving me a positive pregnancy result. Never even crossed my mind that that's what was going on with me. And and then I remember that first Mother's Day being in church, and I was only pregnant, but I realized that that was my first Mother's Day. It's very, very, very special to me. So special. And I ended up naming my son Samuel, which means God hears or heard of God, because I knew that God had put that vision in my heart, and I knew He had heard my prayer concerning that. And so yeah, and so the story begins with Hannah, who is crying out to God for children. She's barren. I, of course, wasn't, but there's some correlations there, just in my heart, in my mind, to things that happened with me personally, and not even just now, but later on through my childbearing years. Um, just, just I could write a book about the things the Lord did with me concerning my children. Looking forward to them, things about their character and their nature and their purpose in life. Really amazing. So as we start, I just tell that little personal story as we start here. So, these are some of the personal things that come to my mind as I'm reading, things that God has done, memories of my life with the Lord and things He has done in my life that are very special to me. So feel free to comment some of your thoughts as we go through this book. Feel free to use the links and the email address in the description. If you'd like a free 1-year Bible, you can email me at that, excuse me, at that email address. So here we go with 1 Samuel, verse 1. Now there was a certain man of Ramathaim. Wow, right off the bat, got a word I have a hard time pronouncing, but it is Ramathaim Zophim of the hill country of Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jeraham. I'm so sorry for stumbling like this right in the beginning. The son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zuph, the son of Ephraimite. Wow, I should have pre-read that or something. It would have gone a lot smoother. But anyway, you know what? Let me just read it again now that I did. So 1 Samuel 1. Now there was a certain man of Rephathaim Zophim of the hill country of Ephraim, and his name was Elkanah, the son of Jeraham, the son of Elihu, the son of Tohu, the son of Zeph, an Ephraimite, or actually, yeah, Ephraimite. He had 2 wives. The name of one was Hannah, the name of the other was Peninnah. Peninnah had children, but Hannah had no children. This man went up out of his city from year to year to worship and to sacrifice to Yahweh of armies in Shiloh. The 2 sons of Eli, Hophni and Phinehas, priests to Yahweh, were there. When the day came to Elkanah, that Elkanah sacrificed, he gave to Peninnah his wife, and to all her sons and her daughters portions, but to Hannah he gave a double portion, for he loved Hannah, but Yahweh had shut up her womb. Her rival provoked her severely to irritate her because Yahweh had shut up her womb. As he did so year by year, when she went up to Yahweh's house, her rival provoked her, therefore she wept and didn't eat. Elkanah, her husband, said to her, Hannah, why do you weep? Why don't you eat? Why is your heart grieved? Am I not better to you than 10 sons? So Hannah rose up after they had finished eating and drinking in Shiloh. Now Eli the priest was sitting on his seat by the doorpost of Yahweh's temple. She was in bitterness of soul and prayed to Yahweh, weeping bitterly. She vowed a vow and said, Yahweh of armies, if you will indeed look at the affliction of your servant and remember me, and not forget your servant, but will give your servant a boy, then I will give him to Yahweh all the days of his life, and no razor shall come on his head. As she continued praying before Yahweh, Eli saw her mouth. Now Hannah spoke in her heart. Only her lips moved, but her voice was not heard. Therefore Eli thought she was drunk. Eli said to her, How long will you be drunk? Get rid of your wine. Hannah answered, No, my lord, I am a woman of sorrowful spirit. I have not been drinking wine or strong drink, but I poured out my soul before Yahweh. Don't consider your servant a wicked woman, for I have been speaking out of the abundance of my complaint and my provocation. Then Eli answered, Go in peace, and may the God of Israel grant your petition that you have asked of him. She said, Let your servant find favor in your sight. So the woman went her way and ate, and her facial expression wasn't sad any more. They rose up in the morning early and worshipped before Yahweh and returned and came to their house in Ramah. Then Elkanah knew Hannah his wife, and Yahweh remembered her. When the time had come, Hannah conceived and bore a son, and she named him Samuel, saying, Because I have asked him of Yahweh. See, that's what it means, right? Heard of God, God hears, or here it says, Because I have asked him of Yahweh. The man Elkanah and all his house went up to offer Yahweh the yearly sacrifice and his vow. But Hannah didn't go up, for she said to her husband, Not until the child is weaned. Then I will bring him, that he may appear before Yahweh and stay there forever. Elkanah, her husband, said to her, Do what seems good to you. Wait until you have weaned him. Only may Yahweh establish his word. So the woman waited and nursed her son until she weaned him. When she had weaned him, she took him up with her, with 3 bulls and 1 ephah of meal and a bottle of wine, and brought him to Yahweh's house in Shiloh. The child was young. They killed the bull and brought the child to Eli. She said, O my lord, as your soul lives, my lord, I am the woman who stood by you here, praying to Yahweh. I prayed for this child, and Yahweh has given me my petition which I asked of him. Therefore I also have given him to Yahweh. As long as he lives, he is given to Yahweh. He worshipped Yahweh there. Hannah prayed and said, "My heart exalts in Yahweh. My horn is exalted in Yahweh. My mouth is enlarged over my enemies because I rejoice in your salvation. There is no one as holy as Yahweh, for there is no one besides you, nor is there any rock like our God." It's just occurring to me that, like, she knew that was a direct answer to her prayer. You could say, well, you just happened to get pregnant, but she knew that Samuel had blessed her and really prophesied, not Samuel, Eli had, the priest had really prophesied to her about the baby and bless her when he gave her that blessing. And she knew the timing because it was like probably exactly 9 months after she had been there. So anybody else could question, but she knew that she knew that she knew that God had answered her prayer and touched her body. So it says, so that's why she's just rejoicing. That's almost better than the gift that you get. I don't know if you've ever had this happen to you, but when you get an answer to prayer that's so miraculous like that, the experience is better than the thing that you get almost. It's like just the fact of knowing that God sees you so personally and cares that way. It's amazing. So it says, "There is no one as holy as Yahweh, for there is no one besides you, nor is there any rock like our God. Don't keep talking so exceedingly proudly. Don't let arrogant," this is her song, this is Hannah's song. "Don't keep talking so exceedingly proudly. Don't let arrogance come out of your mouth. For Yahweh is a God of knowledge. By him actions are weighed. The bows of the mighty men are broken. Those who stumbled are armed with strength. Those who were full have hired themselves out for bread. Those who were hungry are satisfied. Yes, the barren has borne 7. She who has many children languishes. Yahweh kills and makes alive. He brings down to Sheol and brings up. Yahweh makes poor and he makes rich. He brings low, he also lifts up. He raises up the poor out of the dust. He lifts up the needy from the dunghill to make them sit with princes and inherit the throne of glory. For the pillars of the earth are Yahweh's. He has set the world on them. He will keep the feet of his holy ones, but the wicked shall be put to silence in darkness, for no man shall prevail by strength. Those who strive with Yahweh shall be broken to pieces. He will thunder against them in the sky. Yahweh will judge the ends of the earth. He will give strength to his king and exalt the horn of his anointed. Elkanah went to Ramah to his house. The child served Yahweh before Eli the priest. Now the sons of Eli were wicked men. They didn't know Yahweh. Wow, I gotta highlight that because here's an example in the Old Testament about knowing the Lord. Knowing the Lord. Even then, the custom of the priests with the people was that when anyone offered a sacrifice, the priest servant came while the meat was boiling with a fork of 3 teeth in his hand, and he stabbed it into the pan or kettle or cauldron or pot. The priest took all that the fork brought up for himself. So they did in Shiloh to all the Israelites who came there. Yes, before they burned the fat, the priest servant came and said to the man who sacrificed, give meat to roast for the priest, for he will not accept boiled meat from you, but raw. If the man said to him, let the fat be burned first, and then take as much as your soul desires, then he would say, no, but you shall give it to me now, and if not, I will take it by force. The sin of the young men was very great before Yahweh, for the men despised the offering of Yahweh. So there again, it goes back to that principle we learned about. They don't understand the difference between the sacred and then the unsacred, the clean and the unclean. They couldn't discern that, the sacredness of this offering ritual, and they despised it. Moreover, his mother made him let me back up. The sin of the young man was very great before Yahweh, for the men despised the offering of Yahweh. But Samuel ministered before Yahweh, being a child, clothed with a linen ephod. Moreover, his mother made him a little robe and brought it to him from year to year when she came up with her husband to offer the yearly sacrifice. Eli blessed Elkanah and his wife and said, may Yahweh give you offering from this woman for the petition which she has asked of Yahweh. Then they went their own way home. Yahweh visited Hannah, and she conceived and bore 3 sons and 2 daughters. The child Samuel grew before Yahweh. Now Eli was very old, and he heard all that his sons did to all Israel, and how that they slept with the women who served at the door of the tent of meeting. Oh my goodness. He said to them, "Why do you do such things? For I hear of your evil dealings from all the people. No, my sons, for it is no good report I hear. You make Yahweh's people disobey. If one man sins against another, God will judge him. But if a man sins against Yahweh, who would intercede for him?" Notwithstanding, they didn't listen to the voice of their father, because Yahweh intended to kill them. The child Samuel grew up and increased in favor with both Yahweh and also with men. That's another good memory verse right there. He increased in favor with Yahweh and men. Yahweh says, "Did I reveal myself to the house of your father when they were in Egypt in bondage in Pharaoh's house? Didn't I choose him out of all the tribes of Israel to be my priest, to go up to my altar, to burn incense, and to wear an ephod before me? Didn't I give to the house of your father all the offerings of the children of Israel made by fire? Why do you kick at my sacrifice and my offering, which I have commanded in my habitation, and honor your sons above me, to make yourselves fat with the best of all the offerings of Israel, my people? Therefore Yahweh, the God of Israel, says, I said indeed that your house and the house of your father should walk before me forever. But now Yahweh says, far be it from me, for those who honor me I will honor, and those who despise me will be lightly esteemed. Behold, the days come that I will cut off your arm and the arm of your father's house, that there will not be an old man in your house. You will see the affliction of my habitation and all the wealth which I will give Israel, and there will not be an old man in your house forever. Wow. The man of yours, whom I don't cut off from my altar, will consume your eyes and grieve your heart, and all the increase of your house will die in the flowers of their age. This will be the sign to you that will come on your two sons, on Hophni and Phinehas. In one day they will both die. You know what? To me, that proves that dying young in the flower of your age, so to speak, is a curse, or not God's will, not the best, not His best for us. I know there are exceptions. This will be a sign to you that will come on your two sons, on Hophni and Phinehas. In one day they will both die. I will raise me up a faithful priest. They will do according to all that is in my heart and in my mind. I will build him a sure house, and he will walk before me anointed forever. It will happen that everyone who is left in your house, will come and bow down to him for a piece of silver and a loaf of bread, and will say, please put me into one of the priest's offices, that I may eat a morsel of bread. The child Samuel ministered to Yahweh before Eli. Yahweh's word was precious in those days. There were not many visions then. At that time, when Eli lay down in his place, now his eyes had begun to grow dim, so that he could not see, and God's lamp hadn't yet gone out, and Samuel had laid down in Yahweh's temple where God's ark was. Yahweh called to Samuel. Then he said, here I am. He ran to Eli and said, here I am. You called me. He said, I didn't call. Lie down again. He went and lay down. Yahweh called yet again, Samuel. Samuel arose and went to Eli and said, here I am, for you called me. He answered, I didn't call, my son. Lie down again. Now Samuel didn't know Yahweh, neither what there it is again, knowing Yahweh. Samuel didn't know Yahweh, neither was Yahweh's word yet revealed to him. See, I had a time like that. I didn't know Yahweh, and the word wasn't revealed to me, and then it was. Now I know him. So there's a principle, a Christian real life principle, established here in the beginnings. Okay, so let me see where I left off here. It said, now Samuel didn't yet know Yahweh, neither was Yahweh's word yet revealed to him. Yahweh called Samuel again the third time. He arose and went to Eli and said, here I am, for you called me. Eli perceived that Yahweh had called the child. Therefore Eli said to Samuel, go lie down. It shall be, if he calls you, that you shall say, speak, Yahweh, for your servant hears. So Samuel went and lay down in his place. Yahweh came and stood and called at other times, Samuel, Samuel. Then Samuel said, speak, for your servant hears. Now, I got to stop again. So it's interesting it's talking about your servant hearing, because remember, the name Samuel means God hears. And then we saw how God heard Hannah. And then you have Eli hearing from God. And now it's Samuel's turn. Now Samuel, the servant, hears. Verse 11, this is 3:11. Yahweh said to Samuel, Behold, I will do a thing in Israel, at which both the ears of everyone who hears it will tingle. In that day I will perform against Eli all that I have spoken concerning his house, from the beginning even to the end. For I have told him that I will judge his house forever. Well, now this is interesting because Eli probably didn't tell Samuel, and he's revealing the secret. So you can see how Samuel could go and speak to Eli and blow Eli away, because Eli's going to be like, wow, how'd you know what God told me? So it says, I say that because the same thing happens today, those kind of things. So it says, I have told him that I will judge his house forever for the iniquity which he knew, because his sons brought a curse on themselves, and he didn't restrain them. Therefore I have sworn to the house of Eli that the iniquity of Eli's house shall be removed with sacrifice or offering forever. Samuel lay until morning and opened the doors of Yahweh's house. Samuel feared to show Eli the vision. Then Eli called to Samuel and said, Samuel, my son. He said, Here I am. He said, What is the thing that the Lord has spoken to you? Please don't hide it from me. God do so to you, and more also, if you hide anything from me of all the things that he spoke to you. Samuel told him every bit, and nothing from him, and held nothing from him. He said, It is Yahweh. Let him do what seems good to him. So you can see, like I said, it blew him away, but he knows it's God. It's confirmation to him. Here's the first time God's using Samuel prophetically. So much happening here. It's the initiation of Samuel into his prophetic gifting. So it says, Samuel grew, and Yahweh was with him, and let none of his words fall to the ground. All Israel from Dan to Beersheba knew that Samuel was established to be a prophet of Yahweh. Yahweh appeared again in Shiloh, for Yahweh revealed himself to Samuel in Shiloh by Yahweh's word. Now, see, this I'm liking. I could keep reading now because I want to see what happens next. But look at that principle, even right there at the end. God revealed himself to Samuel by his word, and he revealed his word to him personally and directly as well by the Spirit, right? By his Spirit. So, same principles operate today. God speaks to us through his word and his Spirit. He speaks to us through other people at times. So you have the prophetic gift in the story working through Hannah, because when she gave her song, that Hannah song, that's actually prophetic of what's going to come later. And if you watch that Bible Project video, this brings me full circle to the beginning. If you watch that Bible Project video, I think you'll see that, because what she prophesied, some of what she prophesied in that song, Bible Project shows that's exactly what came to pass later on. So you have God speaking to Hannah, to Eli, and to Samuel here, and yeah, it's good stuff. I love it. So I hope you'll join me for the rest, 8 more readings from this book. And until then, God bless you. Shalom, shalom.